it wasn't for the corrupted file, we wouldn't be doing this. All right, so we're here to talk about solar, and the reason we don't have actual install video, our SD card got corrupt after we completed the whole video. So here we are with no install footage, but we can't talk about what I did. All right, so we are partnered with New Power Solar, and they gave me a solar kit to install. It was going to be 400 watts, but I discussed with them that I wanted to do larger panels to save space on the roof, so that if we grow down the road, I can add more panels, and it just works out better. So right here, what you see is two monocrystalline solar panels, 220 watts each. So we got a total of 440 watts here on the roof. So when we ordered our Tandera, we ordered it solar prepped, which means the wires were already run through the RV. All I had to do was hook them up. So when I hooked them up in parallel. And if you're not sure what parallel means, that just means the negative wires are black goes to black, red goes to red. And then you run them into the wires. So when you order a rig with solar prep, you're already going to have this piece here where my wires were run through all the way down to my front storage. So all I had to do is, once I got these hooked up in parallel, I was able to just plug them in here and it goes straight down. And I plugged those wires into the solar charge controller, which you will see as we get downstairs. All right, so now we're at the front storage. As you see, we got this container here. We had it also generator prepped because we didn't know what direction we wanted to go. But we had this space here to be able to put the solar in, so it was really tight to work in. So as you can see, I put a plywood wall on the bottom and on the side, and then I created another box for my two 100 amp hour lithium batteries. The wires came down the back side from the roof, and I'll just go over the parts here. So in the back here, that is our 2000 watt inverter. Right here is our 40 amp MPPT charge controller. Okay, so basically everything is run through a negative and a positive bus bar. The batteries are in parallel. I hooked them up to the bus bars, and then everything is run off of them. So my positive and negative from everything runs to the bus bars. I have a fuse here on the positive for the controller, and I have a fuse in the back for the positive for the inverter. So on the back wall, you'll see I have a breaker there. It's a 60 amp breaker for the panels. So if I want to shut power off from the panels, if I need to do any work, I can just flip that switch down. Then I can safely take the wires out and no power will be coming through them. I tried to tie everything down with wire management as best I could. It's such a tight space. I got everything where I could, as best as I could. Now, some of these you're going to see, like this wire here. This is my negative wire coming from my power inverter. It's because nobody had any black. Nobody had any black cables, so I had to use a long red cable, and you put black heat shrink on it, so I know that's the negative. And just like this one for my 4-aught, I used 4-aught cables on my batteries, but nobody had any red in 4-aught, so I just put red tape around it, so I knew that is the positive. Okay, so for the inverter, it's a 2000 watt pure sine wave inverter. There was really no way for me to wire it. I wanted to wire it to my transfer switch because we got this pre-sub for a generator. It came with a transfer switch, but it didn't come with a inverter. So the inverter is a 2000 watt inverter. I want a 3000 watt, but this is all they have, New Power. So we're going to find a way to make it work, because I mean, it will run pretty much anything we want other than AC. We'll never run AC, but Jody will be able to run a hair dryer. We'll be able to do the microwave, 30 seconds, a minute, minute and a half, stuff like that we'll be able to do. But just so you know, if you're looking, they only have 2000 watts, the largest. Another thing for the MPPT charger, they have two different types. Only one of them, which is this New Power Frigate charger, is compatible with lithium. So that's where we had our mistake. I got the wrong charger. But also, you'll notice I got a sheet metal behind it. It's kind of a deflector plate, if you will. The instructions say not to mount this to anything that can catch fire because this heats up and it has to dissipate heat. So I just put a small thin piece of sheet metal on there to kind of be a barrier to the plywood. Because really, everything on these rigs is flammable except for this, and I didn't want to mount it to this. Yeah, I mean, it's really flimsy. So that's why if you see pictures of the metal behind it, that's what that's. All right, so the MPPT charge controller has a Bluetooth app to it. So you're able to go in, you can see where your batteries are, you can see what kind of power you've got coming from your solar, and how much you're sending to your batteries. You can see the temperature, you can see the load on the batteries, which right now mine shows it's not discharging at all. And you can see how much is going into the battery. I can also change my parameters in here for this, so I don't have to sit here in this tight space and just hit that back button. I can just go onto the actual Bluetooth app and change my parameters. So that was really nice to be able to do. So as far as this solar system setup that I've got, I put everything in the shopping cart. It would have cost me about $1,100 for everything they sent me. Now, with that said, I have spent almost $350 to $400 in extra stuff in the wiring and stuff that they just didn't send or didn't have. Okay, so like these 4-aught cables are expensive for batteries, but I just wanted to be safe. I think I've oversized every wire on here because if you go too small of a wire, they will overheat, and that's how people catch their rigs on fire. I was so afraid of that, I tried to oversize every wire on here that we have. So everything I hooked up, I think, is bigger than it needs to be. All right, so let's talk about batteries real quick. I've got 2 SOK batteries that I installed about a year ago, maybe less than a year. You do not have to have lithium for a solar system, so let's get that out there right now. I went to lithium because our battery died anyway, and I found these guys, and 2 of these were about the same price as one of your really big brand names. They've worked flawlessly up to this point. We literally boondocked our way down to and back from Florida. We did run out of, our battery did die one night because I think the heaters were on, because we left in that storm. It was negative temperatures in the wind chill when we left, and it was cold when we slept our first night. So these things will turn heaters on when they see that it's below 32 degrees or 34 degrees. So I think they had to heat up, so they used a lot more battery. Plus our heater ran pretty much the whole night. So everything was just harder on the rig, and the batteries just, at 4 in the morning, I woke up and noticed that, hey, nothing's running. So we did take our generator. I was able to get them to come back to like 20% before we left. So they were fine, and in normal use, we can go a weekend and have no problems. Yeah. And the bonus is you get to use the whole battery, not half of the battery. And having 2 of them, it just twice as long. Everything lasts twice as long. All right, so we really wanted solar just so we can go to Harvest Host more often, boondock more often. And there's so many places we can go out west to boondock, and all we need is some way to charge the batteries. So this is our goal. So when you're trying to size your system, I already have 200 amp hours of battery, so I needed at least 400 watts of solar. And if I add 2 more batteries, I'll add 2 more panels. So that'll give me 880 watts of solar for 400 amp hours. So just keep that in mind. If you only have 100 amp hours, 200 watts of solar would be fine. That'll help charge them quick. So this is not the video we intended to make. We can't help that a card went corrupt that had all of our files on it for this whole video. We do have a couple little pieces from my cell phone when I did the MPPT charge controller, so maybe Joni can throw that stuff in. I hope so. But thank you for your patience and understanding. If you have any questions about this system, go ahead and leave comments below. And we know that a lot of you guys that are watching this aren't subscribed. Just go ahead and subscribe. It's free, and we would really appreciate it. We do like talking to all of you. So with that in mind, happy glamping.